let's start with Antony Blinken. Antony. I hate the way his name is spelled. I hate everything.
I hate him
about him. Like, it's just like, I really can't stand him. But Antony Blinken went to Tel Aviv. He went to Israel, and he landed saying that he was going to look out for both the Palestinian civilians and that he was also going to stand by Israel. Basically, him going to Israel and meeting with Israeli leaders is reaffirming support for Israel. We know that the United States, of course, continues to say, well, this is very sad. We don't want any more civilian deaths, but Israel has the right to defend itself. We know that they're going to do this sort of doublespeak, but the most important part is not what they're saying, it's what they're doing. The United States is continuing to supply weapons to Israel, which is killing more than 23,000 known people. As of right now, the numbers that the people that haven't been found, we don't know. So it's a lot more than that. And we know that they are pushing Saudi Arabia to go after Yemen. And this is another hot spot where we've talked about where there could be a potential catastrophic escalation. And that's where the Red Sea, these are the areas where I think things are going to actually continue going on and on and on. But he says he wants to begin some negotiations as to what would happen after Israel wins the war. So this is, again, this arrogance, right? That Israel's winning in one way or another, right? And I just don't buy that because, again, we are seeing a devastation that can't be underlined with what Israel has done in terms of the civilians. But what nobody's talking about really, except a few people, are what is being done to Israel's army in terms of the on-the-ground combat, in terms of Ansarallah, in terms of just the entire resistance as a whole. So Antony Blinken met with Bibi Netanyahu again. So there's a picture, if you want to pull that one up, of him shaking Bibi's hand. And again, this is enraging because I think as time goes by, we are seeing now however many 3 months since this onslaught, right? Since this disgusting ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. And we're seeing the United States paint this as we're the good guys, we're standing by Israel. But fam, I don't know if you've noticed, but there has definitely been a shift in the way this has been covered. And I did a package on that. I'll post it later tonight. I started out by saying it's better late than never, right? Because we have been here since day one, but it seems like even mainstream media has shifted. Let's listen to what Antony Blinken actually said in respect to Israel and how he's trying to play both sides now in a way to sound more empathetic towards Palestinians.
Any military assistance we provide to any country.
Can you make it louder? Yeah, change.
Comes with,
It's a little laggy.
Including that weapons be used in accordance with international humanitarian law, the laws of war, and that's something that we look at very carefully on an ongoing basis, and we will want to make sure, in this case as in any other case, that any weapons that we provide are used accordingly. That's something that we take very, very seriously, and we'll continue to do so.
So I just want to point something out. They're talking about international law, and I'm going to talk about the South Africa case, the International Criminal Justice Court at The Hague, right, against Israel, because
Saddam Hussein.
What sort of international law are they talking about? That's been trampled all over by Israel. And so what you're seeing here is him, because he is sort of like a PR also representative, though he's the Secretary of State, but he's really there to like shake hands and say, all right, we stand with you, blah, blah, blah. We're seeing Antony Blinken have to really say, oh, yes, what's going on in Gaza is bad. Initially, they didn't say that. And I think this is too little too late, right? This is like the entire world sees what Israel has done. They've lost the propaganda war. They've lost the support of the majority of the public. And now the United States is having to really sort of backtrack, I think.
Yeah, I mean, how many dead civilians does it take? There's 20,000 dead civilians, and this whole time they were doing it. But fam, you pointed out earlier in the segment that they'll say these one things, but their actions don't change, right? They're still bombing on a regular basis, and I think there was even something said, and maybe you'll get to it, that the bombing won't stop and the operations won't stop in northern Gaza until the hostages are released. That was still said. So at the end of the day, they say, we're sorry, but we're going to still continue doing what we're doing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, David Cameron himself of the UK really just also got like tricked into saying, yes, I'm afraid Israel may have violated international law. So what South Africa is doing is huge. And like I said, I'll talk about that. But it's also important to point out what's going on in the US and even in Israel itself. We're seeing Knesset members speak out against our own, saying your hands are, you have the blood of the people, these people in your hands. We're seeing media people, even like Jake Tapper, pretty much go and have to say, wait a minute now, this is too much. And if Jake Tapper is the voice of reason, you have a problem, because this is CNN we're talking about. Like, this is, I mean, it can't get much worse than that. And then you have Joe Biden, who was heckled. And I know a lot of people have shown this, but I wanted to show it because, first of all, Joe Biden looks barely like he's alive. He's barely looks like he's lucid. And we have an election this year. I can't believe it's this year, because we've been through several elections together now, fam, in the US. And now look where we are compared to where we were before. It seems things have gotten worse, much worse than, say, in 2015, 2016, when we met around the Bernie Sanders time. We're now facing potential World War III scenarios for multiple fronts in the world. And so to me, it seems like things have gotten worse, but also people have become more aware. More people have started YouTube shows. More people have become citizen journalists. More people have become aware of things, but it's sort of happening a little too slow. But here's Joe Biden. He got heckled. He went to a South Carolina event at a church. And this is more of what we do need to see, because Joe Biden is the president. So if you're going to go after somebody, go after him and not, just stop traffic from people trying to get to work, because that's just not going to really help us. And I know we've talked about that as well. But yeah, let's just hear Sleepy Joe.
If you really care about the lives lost here, you should honor the lives lost and call for a ceasefire in Palestine.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
People are so fucking stupid.
Biden. I can't with him. He looks.
Thank you.
Bam.
Thank you. Look, folks, I understand their passion, and I've been quietly working with the Israeli government to get them to reduce and significantly get out of Gaza, using all that I can to do.
So a couple things here, Pam, and I'll give it to you.
Wow.
I just want to say, first of all, you have to be insane to clap like some sort
as
of
a black person,
like
fam,
animal.
as a
4
black
more years.
person clapping as he's fucking just allowing and supplying the bombs to kill little brown children. Holy cow. Holy cow.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I definitely these people are brainwashed, but I mean, there are some of them I'm sure are also getting paid, and some of them are just, they're just
brainwashed. It's brainwashed.
Insane in a way, I think. Yeah, but the other thing is Joe Biden actually responding in this way. Again, we're seeing like this shift where, okay, well, he's got to acknowledge what's happening in Gaza, and his statement about quietly talking to the Israeli government wasn't well received by Israelis because they're just, going on, no, we're doing the Palestinians a favor. We're literally cleaning out the land. We're building new homes. Like they're painting it as like, no, this is what we want. We want to completely get rid of any trace of Palestinians. So Israel's getting segments of Israel are getting really angry, but there are segments of even Zionists that are saying, wait a minute, we need a ceasefire, right? And like, there are different ways people feel about a ceasefire. I mean, obviously people want everybody to stop dying, but there are people that say, well, a ceasefire means that, things are just going to go back to what they were, and so on and so forth. But for Zionists to come out and say, hey, this is too much, I think that signifies a turn that I don't think Israel will recuperate itself from.
So let's talk about this really quickly about the reaction from the crowd and how that's going on. I've been watching a lot of mainstream media lately, fam. Obviously, with the Iowa caucus a week away, want to see where they're at. And, I did a couple segments on Kim, too, as well, talking about, the mainstream media has gone full-blown in panic mode. Trump derangement syndrome has now kicked in. I said, let's play a drinking game, right? Every single time you watch a segment and the mainstream media commentator or propagandist or whatever you want to refer to them to, because they are pure propagandists at this point right now. Every single time they compare Trump to Hitler, do a shot. You'll be drunk by the end of the segment because that's what they have to do. Obviously, being pro-Democratic Party and pro-Joe Biden, you have no accomplishments to talk about. They're not even talking about Bidenomics anymore because it backfired so much on them. They're like, you really want to sit here and brag about the economy where inflation's gone off the charts? The next generation's not owning homes. BlackRock is buying everything up. So don't talk about that anymore. But it's funny because last night, the last thing I watched was a little bit of Lawrence O'Donnell. I watched Rachel Maddow the other day. When you listen to Rachel Maddow or you listen to Lawrence O'Donnell, they'll still talk about Republicans being the awful ones, right? Let's move. Hold on. Really quickly. They'll talk about, Republicans still being the problem. Republicans are the awful ones. In fact, Rachel Maddow's show the other day, she went into the Michigan Republican Party and tried to act as if they're having such a meltdown. They don't know what's going on. What's actually happening in the Michigan Republican Party is that the Trumpers, the America First people, the populist right is taking over. And they're battling here in Florida for the same thing. I know one of the guys who had the chair removed, they're battling. They're actually doing what we wanted to do, right? That's still happening and that's occurring, but they have a hard time admitting that the Republican Party is now the party of Donald Trump. And they're still trying to say, oh, watch out for Nikki Haley. Watch out for Ron DeSantis. Let's see. They're not even talking about Vivek because Vivek is once again more of a populist right mentality, and they don't want to do any anti-establishment candidate of sorts, which, we know how Donald Trump and Vivek will be the same thing, how anti-China they are and all this other things. But still, that's what the mainstream media is doing. On the Lawrence O'Donnell show the other day, the last thing I watched, they were talking about how that speech he talked about in South Carolina and the speech before were brilliant, fam, that he's now gotten mode. That phone call by Obama whipped him up and woke him up, lit a fire under his ass, and let's go Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? Despite how awful things are. And the reason why Joe Biden tried to appeal to that crowd, fam, and started to talk is because he knows the numbers. He knows that he's lost in Michigan, that the Muslim, even the Muslim leftist, the American Muslim leftist in this country, they're done. They're finished with him. You know what I'm saying? The Democratic Party is on its last leg. But you have that mainstream media crowd, and that's who those people who were applauding in that church are, those latte liberals. There's still a big piece of them, and a lot of them live here, right, where I'm at right now, you still have those, you know, those latte liberals, those cappuccino communists we talk about, whatever like that. You know, they're still brainwashed. They're still pushed, because when you look at mainstream media, they still have their propaganda going, and there's still the censorship era is still on. You know, they're still demonetizing, censoring. Even people that we don't like are getting demonetized and stuff. I mean, for crying out loud, fam, Jesus Christmas over here. Mehdi Hassan had to quit. You know what I'm saying? Mehdi Hassan. Yeah. I mean, so there is still a big portion of society where we're dealing with this whole propagandized, a program pushed, the mainstream media who work for the oligarchs, who work for the ruling class. They're still pushing their stuff out. And that's why you do still have these people right here who are clapping and saying 4 more years. Who would want 4 more years of Joe Biden?
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of black people doing that. It's like, hello, ladies and gentlemen. How programmed can a person be, fam? But it's still a very serious problem we have here in the United States. And it's why we have to continue to do what we do and push what we do. And that's the thing. There is no leftist, independent money out there for people like us, right? Somebody made a tweet the other day and said, I know plenty of conservatives, Republicans, right-wingers, even the independent ones that get a few bucks from groups and organizations to go do what we're doing. There's none of that on the left. We don't have that at all. We don't have the luxury of somebody out there going, boom. We only have you beautiful people who are watching us right now that are helping us out. And you're doing a great thing, because we need to get these voices out where we're at. The anti-imperialist leftists need to be out there, and we need your help, guys. So thank you so much. Go ahead, fam.
Yeah, no, it's true, actually. I don't know who posted that, but I saw something and I 100% agreed. And some conservatives got mad. It's like, no, yeah, like we're not talking about like the liberals and the AOC people and all those people. Those don't count. They're not really anti-imperialist. We're talking about people like us. Like, it's just so hard for like people that are actually, you know, anti-war to really get any sort of funding. So that's true. Yeah.